So today in history, on February 16th, 1968, was the very first 911 call. 1968. I was born in 1974. That is, it was only 6 years old when I was born. But, and this is the thing, the UK, England, they had theirs since 1937. They had developed theirs as 999. But in 1968, the United States finally got around to implicating an emergency number. Now, AT&T was the one that was configuring all this, but the very first 911 call was actually by a plucky little telephone company in Alabama, the Alabama Telephone Company. It was a call from the mayor to the police station at 2 p.m. on this day, on February 16th. So, they got to go down in history as the very first 911 call. But AT&T was the one that had been collaborating and had been coordinating all this. This was after was put out as a government mandate by Lyndon B Johnson that, hey, we should have something to get a hold of the police quickly. Now, the reason why they chose 911 was because it was easy to remember, and it was not used as an area code. And it was compatible with the switching configuration, because you figure this is still, switchboards. So however that was configured, it was easier. But I just want to point this out. So this is 1968 when we get the first emergency number system to the police. The first Batman TV series, which I watched as a kid when I would come home from school. It was reruns, but I still loved the original Batman with Burt Ward and Adam West. And of course, God, what was her name? Earth. Anyway, she was fabulous. Anyway, Eartha Kitt, that was her name. Anyway, that was started in 1966, and I'm like, is that why we had the bat signal? Because that was the only way to get a hold of them. The telephone. I thought it was odd, and then as I got to thinking back onto the episodes of Batman, I was like, yeah, I guess that's all they had. There was no 911. There was the bat signal, and there was, Adam West and Burt Ward, there to fight crime. So, if you didn't live in Gotham City, you were done for. But I just thought that was a weird little, a weird little fact. Anyway. The reason why, there's several reasons. I mean, obviously we needed an emergency system, but one of the main reasons, and this is a horrible, horrible crime, was there was a woman named Kitty Genovese, and this was in 1964. Kitty is walking home and she is attacked. This is in Queens, New York. She is stabbed in the back by a man. Now, a neighbor sees this, but the person that sees this doesn't know that she's been stabbed. A lot of people thought what they heard at the time was just like a lover's quarrel, just a spat. They didn't really pay attention to it. But the neighbor screamed out, "Hey, leave that girl alone." And the attacker, whose last name was Mosley, he ran off. Now, it took, no one came down to help her. No one came down to see if she was okay. Kitty crawls to like a doorway, a darkened doorway, and she's sitting there. She's been stabbed in the back twice. And 10 minutes later, her attacker comes back, finds out where she is, stabs her again, rapes her, and then robs her. And this all took about 30 minutes. Now, there were several people that had kind of like, they didn't know what was going on. But no one, there have been like, with this, the urban legend that, 37 witnesses and nobody's, said a thing. It wasn't that they saw it. Everyone just assumed someone else was doing something about it. And they all assumed, a lot of people assumed it was just like I said, a lover's quarrel. So anyway, after she is attacked, 30 minutes, a neighbor finds her and sits with her while an ambulance comes. And then people didn't know what precinct to call. Who do they call for this? Because then it's a 7-digit number. In an emergency, those numbers kind of, they fly out of your brain. Anyway, poor Kitty Genovese, she died on the way to the hospital. And it was after this grotesque murder that people started clamoring for a system. We need a system, something that is easier for us to call in a situation like this. Because could she have been helped? Absolutely. Kitty Genovese could have been alive to live a long life had possibly had she had help, had the police been able to get there in time to get her to the hospital. So this was what they would really kind of clinched it, that we really needed an emergency system. With that in mind, I just needed to we wanted to pay an homage to 911, because there was a time when we didn't have it and we needed, that's just how it goes. So have a good day.